Elliott Wave Theory. Here it is. My name is Alex from Chart Junkies. This video is going to be the quickest, most concise, straight to the point crash course on what you need to know about Elliott Wave Theory. I'm going to go from start to finish, show you some examples. We're going to be done with it. You're going to know Elliott and you're going to go and start trading. Let's get into it. What's Elliott Wave Theory? Dude, last name was Elliott. Way back in the day, examined chart patterns and came to the conclusion that these patterns keep occurring and decided to place a set of rules on these patterns. Turns out, however many years later, still holds true. There's going to be variations. Yes, things have changed. There's futures markets. There's freaking crypto. There's shit that pumps like crazy. But at the end of the day, the principles do remain the same. Now, the first thing you need to understand is markets move in trends. You've heard the phrase, trend is your friend. Now, how trending markets move is in a series of impulse waves and correction waves. Impulses and corrections, those are the two waves you need to know. There's different variations of those waves and different rules involved in those waves, but impulses, corrections, impulses, corrections. In a bullish trend, right, you will get impulses, corrections, impulses, corrections. In a bearish trend, you will get impulses, corrections, impulses, corrections, so on and so forth, right? Now, that's the basic structure. Impulses, corrections. Let's just pretend we're in a bullish trend. The overall trend is up. Waves will move in a series of impulses, all right? And we're going to go over the different types of impulses first. Boom. That's an impulse wave. It comes in 5 waves. It's always going to be 5 waves. No more, no less. 5 waves. The first wave is usually the smallest. The 5th wave is usually about the size of the first. The 3rd wave here is the monster. That's always the biggest wave. That's just a general structure. The rules that you need to know with impulse waves. The main points. This 3rd wave, it cannot be the shortest wave. So, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. That's fine because 3 is not the shortest. You would say 1's the shortest. And that's a perfect 5-wave impulse. Right? You can have 1, although it's rare, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's a perfect 3-wave impulse. Or 5-wave impulse. But the standard impulsive wave looks like this. You guys will know an impulse when you see one. It basically, the trick is you see a gradual move up and then you'll see some type of a hit to the high and then down. That's your sign when it goes, when you see that little swift move to the upside. All right. Now, within this impulse wave, let's draw it again. Standard impulse. Within the impulsive wave, this 4th wave, it can be shallow, it can be deep. It cannot cut into the 1-wave territory. It cannot. That's another rule. You cannot cut below wave 1. That is invalid. That is not an impulsive wave. That's something else. Okay? It could be, you know, we're not there yet. We're going to get there in a second. It could be the start of something like, give me my brush, give me my brush. It could be the start of something like this. Could be the start of something like this, and then another correction up. It could definitely do that, and then we can go down, right? But that's a corrective wave. We'll get to it. Cannot go past wave 1. Usually it's going to retrace according to Fibonacci on the 3rd wave. The 4th wave will retrace usually to the 382. It can go down as far as the 618. Even further depending on the shape of the wave. But your 382.5 is your most usual. 618 it can go. It cannot go past the crest of wave 1, the top of wave 1. Okay. Take notes if you need to, guys. Watch this video as much as you need to. Now, with our impulse wave, it's going to be a fractal. It moves in. You can break it down in scale. So this, let's say, is the largest structure. Let's say it's on the daily time frame. You will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, an impulsive wave there, going by the same rules. And then you will have a correction here. You will have an impulsive wave here. You will have a correction here. You will have an impulsive wave to finish. Okay? Fractals. It's what it's all about. You want to break it down even further? Let's do it. 2, 3, 4, 5. Another correction. Let's say this one's a flat. Another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another correction. And another 5. Okay? It's getting a little chaotic. And you can go smaller than that, right? It moves in fractals. You can take this all the way out to the monthly time frame, down to the daily time frame, down to the 8 hour, to the 4 hour, to the 1 hour, to the 30 minute, to the 5 minute, to the 1 minute, to the 1 freaking second. I don't care. It's going to move in a fractal shape. After the big wave is done, does time just cease to exist? Does stuff end? No, you're going to get now an even larger correction. And then you start your next leg even higher. This isn't to scale. It's not to scale. Don't judge me. And what it ends up being is this is maybe now a 1, 2, 3. And that's a massive wave, right? So I'm just moving these out of the way. You see how it can get kind of ludicrous. You can keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. In trending markets, this is what you will see. In bull markets, this is what you will see. In bear markets, it's going to be the opposite, guys. It's going to be the opposite. Let's get rid of all this junk. We have our standard impulsive wave. It's thundering outside. Set in the mood. How else can this form? We can have what's called a leading diagonal on the first wave. This wave here has to always be a standard impulse. Always. Always, always, always. This first wave and the last wave can be variations of impulses. Still going to be 5 waves, but these rules will get broken. This is your main impulse. Wave 1 and wave 4 can be variations, so you may get a leading diagonal. Right? Where, look, 4 actually busted through 1. And that's just your start here. And then you have your 2, and then you have your 3. And this is just always going to be a standard impulse according to our impulsive wave rules. Always. Now, leading diagonals will show themselves most of the time in some type of structure where there's trend lines that are formed. The fifth wave might leak out of this trend line just like I drew it. It's funny how if you study Elliott Wave not long enough, your eye is so trained you can draw these things without even realizing it. It's just like muscle memory. And then you can expect a correction, and you'll correct. Look at that, to the 618, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then a correction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So, leading diagonals can come in the form of impulses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Followed by a correction. A, B, C. And then another impulse correction. Right? Or they can come in form of ABCs. ABC, 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 and corrective waves, okay? And then go. Flip thing can occur for the end of this wave. For this fourth wave, you can have a similar thing occur. It's called an ending diagonal. Leading diagonal, ending diagonal. Okay? Ending diagonals will always be corrective structures. ABC, 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 down. That's your ending diagonal. It will show itself with trend lines as well. But most of the time, I wouldn't say most of the time, the higher percentage of the time, you're going to get just a regular impulse. And that's how you know we're starting something. Correction, regular impulse. Correction, regular impulse. Done, right? Boom, impulsive waves. You're a pro. Step 1, done. Corrective waves. So we have our impulse. Now, correcting our impulse before we get another impulse, right? These corrective waves can come in a variety of different ways. A variety of ways. You will recognize them as your flags of the world. You will notice them as squiggles. So it's sharp up followed by a bunch of squiggles. And there is structure in these squiggles that can be formed. Okay? There's a method to it. You can count it. Corrections will most of the time look like that. In a perfect world, that's your correction, and then you're done. We're going. But the world isn't always perfect. So what might happen is you might have something like this. You think it's done. You get an impulsive wave. Oh, we're gonna go. But it's just another ABC and it corrects again. And what that ends up being, I'm gonna get rid of our larger ABC. Here you can see it's a bunch of ABCs. What we call that is a WXY. That is a WXY. All it is a double correction. Okay? double corrections can come in the form of many different waves. As many corrective waves we have, you can fit that in a double correction, in the form of a double correction. Okay, let's go back to our standard ABC structure. ABCs, standard zigzags, these are called zigzags. Pretty obvious as to why it's called that. Will always come in the form of an impulse. So that's an impulse to the downside now, right? Impulse followed by a correction. I'm just going to draw another zigzag for the sake of practicality. Followed by another impulse. Okay? That's your zigzag. Impulse, correction, impulse. A zigzag will always be an impulse, correction, impulse. Now this correction in the middle might not be an ABC. This correction in the middle might be that WXY that we talked about. Right? So you might have a WXY, and this might have a double correction inside of here. Right? Still a corrective structure between two impulses. And that's our correction. Now, you can see the similarity between this and what's one more correction and another. Oh, look, that's an impulse now. So a correction is basically an impulse without the last hit. That last hit, liquidity grab before it turns around, that would be an impulse. Without that, you're looking at a correction. Okay? If this was to impulse, you would say, okay, that's the start of something. You would expect a correction and then more downside, right? Corrections can get complicated. Don't get overwhelmed by them. When you really break it down, they're easy. They're easy to distinguish and identify. Other forms of corrections other than our zigzags, you will have what's called a flat. So I'm going to draw our impulsive wave. That's our impulse. Now we got to correct this entire impulse, right? So what happens sometimes is you have a flat, is what we call them. There's different variations of flats. Running flats, expanding flats. It can come in a variety of different ways. They will always kind of look pretty much the same though. A correction down, a correction up, and some type of a pretty heavy wave to the downside, impulsive wave to the downside. All right? And that's your correction. That's your bigger zigzag correction, right? And then you start impulsing with your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But that structure there is your zigzag. Now, ultimately, what are we looking at here? If you have an ABC correction down, another ABC correction up for your B wave, and it breaks the high of your impulse, this is called an expanding flat. Expect an impulsive wave to the downside. If it corrects at least 90% of this wave, so if it goes all the way up and corrects here, it doesn't even have to break the high, but it goes 90%, also expect an impulsive wave to the downside, and that's a flat. Okay? There could be flats that look like that. There could be flats that look like that. And don't take out the low. There can be running flats. Okay? Guys, the structure looks freaking flat, okay? This ain't rocket science here. Make it simple. The structure looks flat. It's a flat. Whoa. Crazy, right? Crazy. Now, there's rules. And I don't want to overwhelm you with the... I want you to just recognize the structures and view the structures for what they are. There's ways to measure them. So here we have a flat. You would take your Fibonacci extension, and you're looking usually for a flat to wind up. If you draw it from your A to your B, you're looking to wind up from the 1-to-1 extension, which is just 1 to 1, the same length as this, or down to here, your corrective zones, which are all Fibonacci's: 1618, 1.5, 1427, 1272, yada yada yada. This is just a zone where it likes to go. Look, it would break the low and then go. It has to come to at least the 786, guys. Okay, these are just Fibonacci numbers. I can definitely make a series going over Fibonacci's. I just don't want to make this video too long. Okay. Last type of correction we're going to go over, so that would make 3 main types of corrections, is your standard triangle. Okay. Now, triangles will come in the form of 5 waves. We call them A, B, C, D, E's. A, B, C, D, E. Right? Now, what happens is you have a triangle. Look at that. It's forming beautifully. There's your triangle. Let's say that we're in a bearish trend. That's your impulse to the downside. This triangle would be followed by another impulse to the downside. Okay? That's your correction to your 2 impulses, right? And this is just 1-to-1 extension. Look how well we draw it. This is your wave. This is the exact same length. It's onto the 1-to-1 of this leg. You measured it to the end of your correction, 1-to-1. Guys, we're not just pulling these numbers out of thin air. We're not just pulling these shapes out of thin air. This is real life what happens. Okay? Now, your double correction. One more thing I want to hit on here. Your triangle wave can definitely break the high of this and grab liquidity. People think it's going to go, but it ends up breaking the high, does not break this high, and then comes down. It's just a liquidity grab. You'll see that actually quite often. All right, so it can break this high. It cannot break this high of the A wave. These are triangles. Now, your WXY waves, right? WXY, your double corrections. Your WXY, your double corrections. Very easy to remember. Let's say the first correction, we have an ABC. The second correction, we have a triangle. Look at that. Second correction, we have another. Actually, we have a freaking flat. Look at that. We have an ABC followed by a triangle followed by a flat. Okay. Easy. WXY. Now, last thing we're going to do. So you have your impulsive waves, you have your corrective waves, you know the fractal nature of Elliott Wave Theory. Last thing I'm going to do for you, I'm going to go to the Bitcoin chart, the history of Bitcoin, and we're going to just chart this up here. We're going to take this middle wave, this is on the daily time frame, and I'm going to show you what Elliott looks like in real life. Bitcoin, Elliott Wave, uses Elliott Wave perfectly. I have our one wave, this is an impulse, followed by a correction to 2, followed by another impulse, followed by another correction to 3, followed by the finishing wave 5. That's a real life impulsive wave structure. Within these, you can see the fractal nature. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Done. For the sake of practicality, to make it easy, this could be a WXY. I don't know. I'm too lazy to count it, to be honest. You don't need to. but I have some type of A, B, C. Move that so we can see it. Correction. Ended up correcting. How far? Pretty deep. 786. That's a very, very deep correction. But it's still a correction, no matter what. Then here, I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at that. And then we have an A, B, C. Look at that. It's beautiful how that works, right? Lastly, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish off our main structure. Look at this middle impulsive wave. The middle 3, we could break it down even further. I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Is it starting to make sense, guys? I hope it does. That's an impulse. Now, off the impulse, we have, wow, I am shocked. We have a correction off of the impulse in ABC fashion. And what do we say about ABCs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at that. Impulsive wave. ABC correction. Another impulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To match that. It's getting sloppy on here on the chart, guys. Let's clean it up. But you see how it evolves. Here's a flat. Look. A, B, C. We got a flat. Now what's this doing? Time will tell. I can make judgments and probabilities to what will happen. I do have a plan. Subscribe to the channel because I make Bitcoin videos all the time. Multiple videos a week. Now this big impulsive wave that we just went over, it followed a correction. This correction came in the form of what? What did we just go over? Huh? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did we just go over? A, B, C. What does this look like in the middle? Oh. A triangle? Oh. Look at that. It might be a WXY, guys, because there's an ABC to follow. Look at that. So, probably if you zoom in, you have a WXY. And there's your correction. There's your impulse after that. And guys, you can go back until you can't go back any longer and keep counting these freaking waves. This wave that we counted here. Look at what happened before that. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You feel me? Look at that. And you can keep going and going and going. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope I made a little bit of sense and made it a little bit simpler for you to follow Elliott Wave Theory. Guys, if you're not trading using Elliott Wave, you're trading blind. I promise you, you need to understand how markets move. You need to understand this. It's going to happen time and time again. It will bring much more clarity to the charts for you. It'll make trading so much easier for you if you understand this stuff. Let me know if you want me to make another video showing the Fibonacci nature and Fibonacci rules. We're at the 382 here for this correction. Where things should correct. I would put it in this video. It would just make it too long. I don't want to make this an extremely long video. We're already at 30 freaking minutes. Wow. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Like the video if you found this helpful. It helps out the video. Comment. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Love you. Peace.